Hey guys, Cal from Team ChainBlock here, and today I'm back again, fresh out of the lab with my brand new Voiceless voice deck profile. I figured I'd rebuild this again because there's a new engine that came out that goes hand in hand with the deck. But before we get into it, make sure you check out proud sponsor of the channel, Kong's Cards. New set as of recording, I think, is Supreme Darkness, I think it's called. Has the new hero stuff, the new Mermaid Atlantean stuff. Has a new, I believe it's a new Fiends with Fusion monster in it. So absolutely use ChainBlock 5, cop yourself some of the singles out of that, get ready for YCS season, and yeah, let's get straight into the deck profile. But yeah, the majority of my reason for building this again, I took a break from it for a while because I had played it like pretty consistently since it came out in Phantom Nightmare, but the hype's starting to die down on the deck now, and I think that's when this deck is at its most dangerous, is when people don't expect it. But to get into it, we have the standard 3 copies of Lo, Prayers of the Voiceless Voice, bread and butter of the deck, places one of the continuous spells traps straight into the back row, plays in there anything that prevents you from activating spells, which is quite nice. You have your 3 copies of Diviner of the Herald to go along with it, along with the 1 copy of Trias Hierarchia. As long as Diviner's at 3, you're going to play the Diviner at 3. Same with Trias Hierarchia. Like, this package is pretty standard for Voiceless Voice because it just insulates your players to get into the low quite easily. And then also, if you do open up the 2 of them in one hand, dropping this first, baiting out an Ash Blossom is always quite nice. Then you have the 2 copies of Saphira. Now I cut this from 3 to 2 simply because I just don't think it warranted spot at 3 anymore. With a lot less resiliency against the hand traps, you kind of have to go into it with the mindset if you're going to get hand trapped, you're going to get hand trapped. Like, opening 2 of these can be quite dead, especially in this build anyway. And then, like, even if you don't see this in your opening hand, you have plenty of ways to get to your ritual plays, so I wouldn't be too worried about not seeing this in your hand. So that's why I kind of cut it down to 2. You played 2 copies of the Skull Guardian as usual, and the 1 copy of Sonnyps. You'll notice that I cut the Pengraph. The Pengraph was literally my only reason for playing it, was Tempoi, and I think this deck can breeze through a Tempoi game right now. And I just don't think the spell negate for the Pengraph warranted the slot for itself, because I don't think it's worth playing on its own. You want to play the Meteor with it, but the Meteor doesn't come up anymore, so I just feel like leaving it at the Sonnyps and the 2 Skull Guardian is just perfect. This for extra protection if you need it, and then this just as the Omni Negate is always kind of broken. I also did cut out the Old Man Sonnyps. I just think in this format it doesn't really do a hell of a lot. You don't really need the extra ritual monster because you kind of get to these 2 fairly consistently anyway. And then we go to the spells. We have the 3 copies of Barrier of the Voiceless Voice. This is pretty standard. Like, you're not going to play less than 3. If you're playing less than 3, you ain't playing it right. This card just makes the deck as tough to out as people remember it to be. And then we play the 1 Blessing of the Voiceless Voice and the 1 Radiance as the 2 extra names to place off the low. And we play the 2 Prayers of the Voiceless Voice. 1's too little, 3's too many, 2 is perfect. Just being able to recycle your board, and then if you do draw the Saphira and 1 of these, it's not dead. So that's okay. I've cut the pre-prep down to 2. Simply because, like I said, you get into these 2 quite consistently. It was pretty good at 3 when I was playing the Pengraph, because I could search for the Sonnyps and then use the Saphira to search for the Pengraph, but I just don't think it warrants itself at 3 now. It's just an extra little win more card if you do see it. Baiting out an Ash Blossom because you drop this and you still have to hit it. And now for the new engine. So the new engine we play is the Ryu-Ge cards. I think it's a very, very slept on engine at the moment. And we start off with 2 copies of Sosei Mistveh. And basically what that card does is, during your main phase, you can add 1 non-pendulum Ryu-Ge card from your deck to your hand, and then in the pendulum zone, it pops itself. And then, while it's face up in the extra deck, if a monster is destroyed by battle or a card effect while it's in the extra deck, you contribute one level 10 Ryu-Ge monster, and if you do, special summon it. It's treated as a ritual summon, which is quite nice for you. And then you can apply the effect of destroy up to 2 cards you control, and if you do, place that many Ryu-Ge continuous spells from your deck face up on the field, which is absolutely broken. Because if you've read those continuous spells, you'll see exactly why they are so good. Now I'll get to the other really good one. The other really good one here is Hakva. And the reason he is so good is because he searches out pretty much the best of the continuous spells. The green one, I'll get into that one in a little bit. But they all have like a little gimmick of being like discarded, banished, or shuffled back into the deck. Being able to capitalize on how many copies that you can play from the deck and stuff. So basically what Hakva reads like is you can banish from the hand, add a Ryu-Ge around Worm Winds from the deck to the hand, so searches for the spell, and if a monster is banished face up, and this card is already banished, if there are already 2 other banished monsters that are not that card, so if this one's banished and there's 2 other monsters that are banished, basically he can special summon himself from the banishment and then place the Ryu-Ge Worm Winds to the bottom of the deck and add a Ryu-Ge card from your deck, graveyard, or banishment to the hand. So you can only use each of its effects once per turn, but the most important part of this effect is being able to search the green spell. We have the one of the red Donny, Kaiva, and Kaiva reads, he shuffles himself back into the deck to add his version of it, the Dino Domains, and then during the main phase, if there are 2 or more cards destroyed this turn, you can special summon it from the hand and then place 1 Ryu-Ge around Dino Domains to the bottom of the deck, target other cards on the field up to the number of different monster types on the field and destroy them. So what's great about these is that they're all different types. Like you have the dragon, you've got the worm, the other one is a sea serpent, then you can have the fairies on the field and stuff. So you could be popping up to like 3-4 cards if you play your hands right. Which can be absolutely devastating to your opponent. And the last one that we are playing is the Enva. And Enva is the exact same one again. You can discard it, add the Sea Spires, that's the blue continuous spell, from your deck to your hand, and during the main phase, if 2 or more cards are sent from the hand and or deck to the graveyard, except himself, you can special summon this card, and then place the blue one on the bottom of the deck, and then you can banish your opponent's entire hand and then make them draw the same number of cards banished, which is pretty decent. But yeah, the best one is clearly this one, because I'll get into his green spell now in a second. We play the field spell, the 1 Ryu-Ge Warzone. And Ryu-Ge Warzone is absolutely busted if you've ever read this card. So basically, when it's activated, you take a dinosaur, a sea serpent, and a worm monster from the deck, add 1 to your hand, banish 1, and send 1 to the graveyard. You can't special summon for the rest of the time except dragon, dinosaur, sea serpent, or worm monsters. And if you have So-Say Misfit face up in the extra deck, you can special summon 3 monsters with different types, 1 from each deck, graveyard, and banishment. And you can only use each effect once per turn. That's pretty okay. But yeah, basically, so this being able to, it basically grabs all of them, puts them all into rotation, which is very, very nice. And then also, if you have this one already in rotation, it lets you just bring them all out onto the field, which is absolutely crazy. Because when you read the other effects that the continuous spells give them, it's absolutely devastating. It's absolutely devastating to your opponent. So we play the 1 Dino Domains, the 1 Worm Winds, and the 1 Sea Spires. So I'll get into the Dino Domains first. So this one here reads that you can only control one. Each of them only have the effect that you can only control one of them at a time. This one, while it's on the field, gives your monsters 300 attack points, and then it's only level 10 or higher monsters' original type is dinosaur or the Ryu-Ge Pendulum monster. They each only affect their own typing, if you get me. And then once per turn, the dinosaur monsters and the pendulum monster also gain an extra effect. that grant it once per turn when an effect monster on the field with less attack to this card is activated. Quick effect, you can place one Ryu-Ge continuous spell you control to the bottom of the deck and negate the activation. So this basically, if you have this one and this one on the field, it makes both of them negates as long as you have this face up. So if you have this and two other ones, you can shuffle the other two, negate it. Absolutely crazy card. Now I'll get into the Wormwinds one. The Wormwinds one reads as follows. You can, once again, only control one of it at a time. If a monster is sent from the field to the graveyard during your opponent's turn, they are banished instead. So it's macro, basically. It's absolutely crazy. And then, again, Ryu-Ge Pendulum monsters and level 10 or higher worm monsters are given this effect. Once per turn during your opponent's turn, you can place one Ryu-Ge continuous spell you control to the bottom of the deck and then target one face-up monster on the field. Its attack becomes 0. So that insulates a little bit of extra place for you. And then we get into the Sea Spires. The Sea Spires, once again, you can only control one of it, and your Ryu-Ge monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. And then the Pendulum monster and the Sea Serpent one are given the effect that you can place one Ryu-Ge continuous spell card you control to quick effect, target card in the field, return it on the hand. So that's pretty good. So basically, this one bounces. This one is a macro on legs. The other effect doesn't really come up, but it can insulate an OTK through the Skull Guardian means as well, which is pretty nice. And then this one here doesn't really come up too much. It gives it 300 extra attack points, and then it just gives them all negates. But typically, this deck is just built for set up the Skull Guardian plays, and then maybe this and one or the other of these to insulate 2, maybe 3 negates, but then you just go for the kill in the next round. But yeah, the reason I was hyping up the green one so much was because of the fact that it's a macro just for your opponent, and the fact that it can insulate an OTK game state, considering that it gives 2 of your monsters essentially the effect to change something to 0, and it's permanently changed to 2/0 even if this leaves the field, which is very good. And they're all pretty beefy, like 3,000, 3,000, 3,500, 3,000, and then you have your 4/1 Skull Guardian. Like, it's very easy to OTK with this deck, which is quite nice. And then for the non-engine of the deck, I just play 3 copies of Voiceless because it's incredible, 3 copies of Ash Blossom because it's incredible, Magnum because it's good, Callboy, and the Pot Prosperity for some consistency. Okay, we'll get into the extracts swiftly on here. I've been taking up a bit of time. I play 1 Relinquished Anime, just nice to have. If they do, this actually comes up a lot. If they play into zone management terribly, and you're against Ryu-Ge, if they place their detonator here, Relinquished Anime is a great way to bait out one of their pops. So just going into this off the low is quite nice. You have your Almirage and your Secure Gardener, your basic low combo. You have your SP Little Knight, your IP Masquerena. Always have these in the extra. I decided to bump up Dynamondo to 2 simply for the reason that being able to bounce the cards back is just incredible in this format. Chaos Angel, this card, this format, I will die on this hill, is genuinely one of the most based boss monsters. I've seen so many people just end on this and decks just can't out it, and I will die on that hill. This card, I have made it a couple of times, and it has caused problems for every single person I've made it for. So absolutely, if you haven't picked up a Chaos Angel, I'd suggest picking it up if you can run it. I played a 1 Superstar Slayer Typhon. I played a couple of copies of basically the Slayer targets. You notice I didn't play Slayer. Slayer is a card that I'm definitely putting in the side. But what's also great about having these targets, obviously they're all pluses and stuff, but they also solidify your pot of prosperity play as well, because you have an easy, it will be 6 maybe, cards to get rid of off the prosperity, to just dig a bit deeper into your deck, while also having the Ultimate Slayer targets then to side in the Ultimate Slayer, because you're going to be siding this out probably anyway. And you're going to notice that the extra is 14. That is simply because I could not decide either to put Malong into the deck or to put a Zeus into the deck, because both are incredible, and being able to just Typhon, bounce something, and just kind of keep your opponent at bay for as long as you possibly can is quite good. But I'm leaning more towards the Malong just to have that 6th target, so it's an easy 6 prosperity targets, while also having every single type to possibly use for your Ultimate Slayer in the side. But yeah, that'll do it for the deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it.